A lot is lining up this week. The dollar has a potential downside move. The euro and the pound have important targets with setups forming today. I'm already positioned in the AUD, the Australian dollar, and I will offer an add up for the day. And gold and silver are starting to take off. Let's break down exactly what I'm watching for this week. So, as usual, I like to start with the DXY because it gives me a perspective of the overall structure on the Forex market. So if I understand where the DXY could potentially head, my job will become easier to identify setups on EU and GU. So without further ado, let's go ahead. This is the weekly fair value gap taken from the XY last week. We saw a push to the downside and price was able to take this bearish daily fair value gap. Now, the trend suggests that the DXY could potentially target those lows over here, okay, at around this sell side that was created from May, which is the 705 Fibo level from the last displacement to the upside. So we still have a BOS, which a definite close above this previous buy side, and we still have the monthly target not taken yet. So there's still a chance for price to push higher from here. But since it's still early to assume such a move, what I have is a clear draw on liquidity. So I will use this area of interest as a potential to the downside. This is why I mentioned that the DXY has a potential move to the downside because I still see bearish imbalances on the daily time frame. I still see bearish BOS on the hourly time frame, and I still see a very clear draw on liquidity which price can drive into. And then when price reaches this level, only then I will look for an hourly change of character for a potential push to the upside. But so far I can use this potential to the downside as a draw on liquidity. So what happened on the H1 time frame is the following. Price made a clear close below the sell side, marking another bearish BOS coming from sweeping those buy side liquidities, which is a weekly fair value gap. So after it tested it, clear change of character, bearish fair value gap, and a clear BOS. Now, what happened today is the following. Price took yesterday's high, tapped into the 50% Fibo level and an 8-hour imbalance over here. So far also we have an internal change of character. We closed well below this and it's just a matter of a retracement probably either to this 1-hour bearish fair value gap or this 1-hour ordered block in my opinion for a continuation at least to the sell side. And if I see another break of structure bearish, then it clearly opens the target for lower prices into the area of interest I showed on the daily time frame. So right now, since the bias is clear on the DXY, it's also showing up on EU, which I will show you right now. So the potential for EU, as I mentioned last week, is still open. Okay, those three relative equal highs are not taken yet within last week's, Monday's high. And this is the bullish fair value gap on the daily is not taken. So this day, Tuesday, took it on DXY, but it could not take it on EU. So this is a bullish SMT divergence between EU and DXY. And also the low of Tuesday, which is the high of Tuesday, was taken on DXY. It wasn't taken on EU. So this formed another bullish SMT divergence for EU, making this a definite target for price to sweep, and then we will see if price close above this high, then it will mark the first change of character after this break of structure to the downside. Close above this high would mark a change of character, and we potentially could flip the bias on the daily to bullish and target higher highs. But for now, this is a clear draw on liquidity. Now, I ask myself, if I still have room for price to go to the upside, do I have a potential setup that allows me to join buyers for today? My answer is on the hourly time frame. So before I break down the structure, this is the first SMT divergence, and this is the second one forming on right at a 4-hour order block. So price was bullish enough not to take the daily fair value gap and yesterday's low and form this SMT. Now on the H4 time frame, 2 minutes 50 seconds this H4 would close and confirm once again the change of character, the internal change of character. So once I have SMT, imagine this sell side was swept and a displacement higher, not reaching Monday's high, not reaching the full buy side over here. Now with the close of this H2, which is going to be after 2 minutes 20 seconds, there's some news on EU. So after the close of this 2 hours, price will form a 2-hour bullish fair value gap, which could be a potential continuation to the upside. Another view from the 1-hour time frame is that if you're gonna use this as the last displacement higher, because we've had first push higher and then a little bit 1 hour of consolidation, and then another push to the upside. So I can use this as the last independent displacement, wait for a retracement, maybe also balance this 1 hour. So just be mindful to take a lower time frame confirmation around this level. If it was formed, I think there's a high potential to take out Monday's high and the buy side liquidity. So this is the area that I will be watching for EU price action going into today's New York session. Now moving forward into GU, GU took the buy side, couldn't close above it on a daily closing basis. It just closed above it on an hourly and H4 closing basis. So I will keep that as a buy side for now. But there's a high chance to target Monday's high once again, so that we have a complete sweep of all of the buy side. Will price be able to target this buy side? There's a clear draw on to do that. Since we swept the sell side of the range low, then there's two relative equal highs to sweep on the range high. So there's a clear draw on liquidity. But because price created a monthly high, right now the objective is just Monday high. And if I see a well close above this buy side, then definitely we're going to open up the targets for the full buy side liquidity to be swept. Now, if I look closer, I see what price was able to do is the following. Price, after sweeping this buy side, this is the close that I spoke about. It balanced a 2 hour/4 hours fair value gap within this sell side over here, created a low, and then created a high. This was the internal high to break above to form a change of character. Now, I said this already on the 1 hour time frame, but this is the area of interest that I will be watching. On the 1 hour, it's already confirmed. Now, with the 2 hour close, it couldn't maintain the close above this high over here, which will not change the full structure. I mean, there's still clear draw on to this buy side over here, but will just make me take a confirmation on the lower time frame right at the 2 hours bullish fair value gap aligning with this breaker over here. For a better view on the 1 hour time frame, I have this liquidity over here to be taken, and then I will scale down to the 5 minutes or 15 minutes just to see a displacement, so then I can take a proper confirmation into this buy side liquidity over here. So moving forward for AUD, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I'm already settled in a setup on the Australian dollar, and I will break it down and offer a potential add up for today's session. So what AUD did this Monday is that it closed the day above this buy side, and this buy side, this external buy side was significant because this was the last high created before the last BOS, and then we closed above it. So this is a confirmed external change of character for price, which opened up the targets to take out Monday high and also those buy sides reaching this liquidity over here potentially. We could just see a sweep for Monday high and price reverses down, but there's a clear draw on at least to take out either Tuesday high or Monday high. So where did price retraced into? It retraced into the OTE. It fulfilled all of the daily imbalance with all of this liquidity over here formed on a daily closing basis. Now, where exactly I took the trade? Today during London session, I waited for this last sell side to be swept, fully balanced the daily fair value gap. Look how algorithmic this is. And then I went into the lower time frame. So when I went into the lower time frame, I saw that after price swept this sell side, okay, without closing below it on an hourly closing basis, I waited for this displacement to just close above this high over here. This is the external high that I want to see price closing above. But because I'm working at an optimal level, because I have a sell side to sweep, I can take the first setup right at the first internal change of character, and I will then wait for the external change of character only if I have the higher time frame confirming the change of character, which is the daily in this case, and only when I have a bullish fair value gap that I can place my trade on. So I set my buy limit over here, and then my stop loss was protected below this low, and I'm targeting for now, I'm targeting Tuesday high. The add up that could be formed is after a 1 hour close above this high. Why this high? Because it was the last high significant potential buy opportunity, which could form anytime today. And the opportunity is the following. After I see sell side sweep on the daily time frame, okay, this was the last protected high that price should close above to turn bullish on the daily time frame. And this is exactly what happened from the beginning of this month. But price couldn't reach this internal buy side. It's not as significant as it seemed, but it is still a buy side exists. And this gives me confidence that if I'm gonna target higher prices, I will target those highs in addition to this buy side liquidity. And since I don't have a sharp displacement, a sweep and a sharp displacement, then I am still considering to buy from this level, which is a daily order block, previous daily breaker. Now, if I go on the 8-hour time frame, I like to use the 8-hour combines couple of 4-hour candles. I see a significant 8-hour imbalance aligning perfectly with this breaker over here, and so far price already reacting from it. Now, as a confirmation for this setup, we already have a bullish fair value gap on the 1-hour time frame, but it did not come after a displacement. So I couldn't see something like this and the bullish fair value gap over here aligning after the displacement. In fact, we saw it within the range. Usually those are low probability fair value gaps. And this is why probably you're trading fair value gaps and they are failing because they are not coming after a clear displacement. But however, since price tested the OTE and the higher time frame point of interest, and since price already swept the previous sell side without closing below it, only then the probability of this bullish fair value gap becomes a little bit better than others. But you have two options, either to take the first trade at the bullish fair value gap. It's not mitigated yet within this candle. It needed few cents to be mitigated, and you can set your stop losses below this H1 candle's low, or you can simply wait for price to respect it, or just to sweep once again, regardless of what price does. You can simply wait for a 1-hour close above this buy side for a retracement and then a potential continuation to the upside. We have the high of Monday. Yes, technically the high of Monday, as well as this internal buy side to be taken for silver to complete its objective. So you can keep this setup under your radar for today. So with that being said, I tried my best to make this as effective as possible with a direct setup that you can implement or observe from today, right after you watch this update. It's not a financial advice, of course. It's just an invitation for you to observe price. You have to be aware that any potential setup can fail at any time, as well as any potential A plus setup can deliver and fulfill the targets based on the historical data that you have on your edge and system. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's update, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.